Hi and welcome to Darvanalee Designs Studio. My name's Nicole Reed and today we're going to make this cute little pouch for our rotary cutter for when we're traveling. So let's get started. Okay, so today we need a few things. You're going to need some outer fabric, some lining fabric, some fusible fleece, and just some scrap Shapeflex 101 or any other woven interfacing that you might use. You'll need some pins, a rotary cutter, and also a quilting ruler. Okay, so you need, for all the cutting instructions, you'll need to head over to our blog, which is linked up down below, and there you will find how to cut all your fabric out and your interfacings. So the first thing that we're going to do is we will fuse all of our fusible fleece to the exterior fabric. Okay, so this is my exterior fabric and I've already done that off camera, so I've got my fleece on there, as you can see. This is my lining and it doesn't need anything, it's fine like that because the fleece is stable enough for both of them, but you will need a little bit of Shapeflex for your closure strap. So basically I've just put a piece of Shapeflex 101 on it, and then I've creased it in half, then taken those raw edges into the center and then folded it on itself. So now what we're going to do is head over to the sewing machine, and with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance you're going to actually stitch down the open side of your little tab. Okay, so you can see there I've just stitched an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way down. Now we can set that aside. Set your lining aside for the meantime, and basically what you're going to do at one end of your exterior piece, we're going to just round off the corners. So I always have my pin cushion's really good for this, so I just line it up like so, and then I just get my friction pen, making sure that the corner here is lining up with the straight edge and this as well, and then I just take that corner off, and then I move it over to this side and do the same thing. Then I can grab my scissors or my rotary cutter, whichever you prefer to use, and I can just trim that off. Just on the line I just trim it, and then the same for the other side. And that's going to create the top of our little rotary cutter pouch. So then what we do is we get our lining piece and we align our exterior piece on top of that, and we're going to use that as the template now, and then I can just mark that out and then grab my scissors and take those corners off. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our exterior piece again. We're going to turn it around so we've got our flat edge, and then we're going to measure 1 1/4 down from that straight edge and just make a mark, and the same on the other side, making a mark again, and then just join those two marks like so. Then you're going to take your little closure tab that we made earlier, and you place this edge here on our line like so, and then we will grab a couple of pins or wonder clips if you prefer, and I'm just going to pin that into place just like so. Now I'm going to turn it back around again, and then I'm going to get my lining piece, and with the right sides facing each other I'm going to align them up, and on one side I'm going to make a mark, and this is where we're not going to sew. This is so we can turn it out. Okay, so even if you've got to put a couple of pins in there to remind you, but we've made that mark now, so we'll be okay. We'll be able to see that it's there. Alright, so then what you're going to do is you're going to just then pin it in place all the way around, making sure all our raw edges are aligning. Okay, so now that we've got that pinned, we're going to start here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to do a back stitch. We're going to sew all the way around till we get back to this pin here and do a back stitch again, remembering to use our 1/4 inch seam allowance, and as we come to the curves, just to slow down and take it easy. Okay, so we've stitched that down, we've left our little gap. I've done a reverse at the beginning and at the end. So now what I want to do is just take out some of the bulk out of these corners, and I'm just going to clip these curves here. But I just like to use my pinking shears, or you can just use your regular scissors and just make little V marks. It'll just make it sit a little bit better. So all I do is making sure that I don't clip into my stitches. I just get my pinking shears and I just go around that curve. Okay, so now I'm ready to turn that in the right way. So I just go up to the curved end, just sticking my fingers in, and I just turn that through. Making sure that I turn my corners out really well, so poking our corners out. Alright, so now I'm going to head over to the ironing board and I'm just going to give that a really good press. And I'm going to tuck these in and press them as well, pop a pin in there, and then we'll be ready to do the final assembly. Okay, so we have pressed that and now we're ready to turn it into our little rotary cutter pouch. So the first thing you want to do is flip it over so your lining is facing up. And then you want to fold the bottom end, which is the square end, up until you're exposing around about 6.5 inches, give or take a little bit. So I just put my ruler beside it, and I know that that's roughly well, it is 6.5 inches. It's maybe a little bit shorter, and I can sit my rotary cutter on there, and I can see that my top part of my pouch is going to come down and be able to be inserted into our little closure tab there. So I'm happy with how that's looking, and what I do is I just grab a couple of clips because it's a little bit thick to pin through, and just pin that on either side. And those little pins that I've got there are where we're going to close up our opening. Okay, and at this point I can actually stick my rotary cutter in and see that it is going to go in there nicely, and I can see that my little flap is going to fit under there nicely and everything's going to be secured. So now that I know that that is going to work, what I do is I go over to my sewing machine and I basically top stitch it close. Okay, so to top stitch this I get my machine and I elongate my stitch to a 3mm. The default on my machine is a 2.5. So whatever your default is, you want to just go up a couple of millimeters. As I said, I go up to a 3mm on mine, and then I'm just going to, basically I'm going to start here and I'm going to go down and all the way around and come back here and just do a reverse here and here, just to give it that little bit more security, using an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so you can see here we've top stitched that all the way around and we've created our little pouch. So now we can just pop our rotary cutter in there, or your scissors, whichever you're making it for, and we can just slip that underneath like so. And now that is going to be nice and secure for when we're traveling and we don't have to worry about our good scissors or our rotary cutter getting damaged. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope that you enjoyed making the little rotary cutter pouch. Quick and easy and simple, a great little gift idea. And if you like this video today, give us a thumbs up down below, leave us a comment and tell us what you thought, and hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it if you're new here. My name's Nicole Reid for Darvanalee Designs Studio, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.